Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the debut episode of Landis Confidential. We're going to be talking about all things John Landis films. Now, whether you love John Landis, hate John Landis, or in between on how you feel about John Landis, I don't think that any of us can deny the fact that John Landis has created some of the best comedy movies and probably one of my all-time favorite comedy horror films in American Werewolf in London, which I'm not going to talk about tonight, but I will eventually talk about. Actually, on the next episode, next Monday, I'll be talking about An American Werewolf in London. But tonight, I will be talking about Schlock from 1973, the Kentucky Fried Movie from 1977, and Animal House, which is probably the most well known of the three, from 1978. Now, um, before I get started with these movies, and I wanted to say hey to Batman while I was on camera. I said hello to him in the chat, but I also wanted to say hello, because he was actually in the chat and talking. So not required. You can come in here and you can watch what I'm talking about and never say a peep in the chat. Um, First of all, though, I wanted to show off my new t-shirt design. This one I actually tried with a transparent background. I'm really liking this a lot better. This was the Robert England variant. So I can now make these with transparent backgrounds where the blue background doesn't show through. You'll get the color of whatever color of the shirt that you pick. That's what you'll be able to see on or behind the image, rather, I should say. So I made a few t-shirts last night. I can actually show you the one I made for my coworker, who is a big fan of Pokemon. So I made her one of these Scooby-Doo mashup shirts with Pikachu, and I made her a yellow shirt. Just wanted to show those off in case anybody was considering getting some custom work from me. The one that I made for Rebecca, my coworker, was indeed custom work. So now that I got all that out of the way, there's going to be a little bit of a change in programming. And by that, I mean this gal was doing way too many live streams and putting too much pressure on myself, I think, to have things ready and all of that stuff. And so I have decided to switch things up a little bit. And so Mondays, now that I'm doing Landis Confidential about the John Landis movies, those will be live. You'll be able to come on here and interact if you would like. You'll be able to watch me live as I talk about these movies. And that will remain at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Mondays. Tuesdays, I'm still in the midst of Everybody Wants England. Everybody Wants England will switch from a live show to a pre recorded show. It is my hope that it'll take some of the pressure off of me, but I'll still be able to provide content and give myself enough time to watch the film so I don't look like an idiot up here talking about them. Also, some of these shows can be considered review shows. And some people don't want to tune in live for stuff like that. If you do, great, but I know that some people don't. And some people probably watch them on the replay rather than coming in here. Why do I want to come in there and chat about whatever she's talking about? Okay, so Wednesdays is apples and oranges. That I consider an interactive show, and I want to keep that live. So that will remain live. Thursday, Thursdays has been alternating between Seductive Poison, the Resurgence Triple Threat Review Show, and I Know What You Shot on Video. Those will go from being lives to being pre-recorded. Friday, Terror Time Tea will be pre-recorded. But Friday Foolish will remain a live stream because I know you guys and gals like to interact with me and Candace Fridays at 1. So that's a little bit of a switch up in programming. Just wanted to give everybody a heads up that was watching this or may watch this on the replay, so you're not caught blindsided if you watch my stuff on a regular basis and wonder, why is Dana not live? These things will be premiering at the time that they would normally be live. Okay, so coming up, we've got a couple of watch-alongs coming up this weekend, if you hadn't already noticed on the channel. Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time will be Wes Craven's New Nightmare. This one had to be rescheduled because I was so wiped out the week that I wanted to do it a couple of weeks ago. Sunday's watch along, also starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, will be for Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. So be sure to tune in for all of that this week. I'm very excited about, the new Landis Confidential. I'm excited about the commentary or the watch alongs. And I'm excited about switching up the programming because I think it will make the programming better on the channel. So, now that all that's out of the way, we'll go ahead and get to the movies. Now, the only one I don't have a physical copy of is Schlock, which is the first one I'm going to talk about. I honestly had never seen Schlock before. I may have seen the beginning of it, but never watched it all the way through. And Schlock is a lot of fun. I mean, it's low budget, it's madcap, it's crazy. Got a lot of goofy jokes and stuff in it, but anybody who's watched a lot of John Landis's stuff, especially his later stuff, you will kind of see, where his humor progressed from this kind of schoolboy humor in Schlock to more polished things like Animal House and Blues Brothers and stuff like that. So I enjoyed Schlock. And what is Schlock about? Basically, it's about an ape, a monkey, who I don't know where he comes from, but he ends up in this town, and they at first are calling him the banana murderer. They're having these banana murders, and it's kind of gruesome at the beginning scene because you see all these dead bodies laying on a playground, and some of them look like kids. But then when the cops get there and the paramedics get there and they're loading the bodies up and stuff like that, it starts to get funny. You have a couple of cops standing around with this, looks like a rubber woman. They keep flipping her top down. You see her boobs. Flip the top back up, you don't see them. And this other cop walks over and they kind of go, like they don't want him to see. Batman, you say, I was listening to Pod Mortem talk about Twilight Zone, the movie, and they was straight up dogging on Landis. And I was, oh my fucking God, can we just let old news die? Yeah, Batman, I would like people to not just dwell on that as well. But unfortunately, I think it's something that nobody or some people aren't going to let go. Just like there are other things that I wish people would let go, and they unfortunately don't when it comes to people that are in the public eye. It was a horrible, horrible accident that happened, and lives were lost, and children's lives were lost. But how much longer are we going to go on blaming Landis for an unfortunate series of events that led up to the deaths of an adult and 2 children? That's not doing anybody any favors. Least of all us. It's keeping us from enjoying the product of I feel like Landis is a great filmmaker. I really, really do. Um, you say they was dogging on him because his segment was racist and the tragic accident. Well, I mean, yeah, the character that Vic Morrow plays is a racist. He's a bigot. I mean, that there's no doubt about that. But I think what the story was trying to show, in case they didn't notice it, was that it's not a good thing to be a racist or a bigot, because bad things might happen to you. You know, I'm not talking about like the bad thing that happened to Vic Morrow in real life. I'm just talking about, you know, karma will get you if you really are, like that. You know, in my opinion. Um, but And as for the accident, that's what it was. It was a tragic accident. And I don't really see the need to go on blaming Landis or anybody else for it. It happened. It was horrible. Um, and I'm sure that Landis lives with that every day of his life, the decisions he made. So I just say let the poor man live out the rest of his life in peace and stop, you know, carrying on like this. But that's just my opinion. But anyway, back to Schlock. We have this monkey that's going around, and he's in love with this girl who lost her eyesight, but they did surgery and she got her eyesight back, and he's in love with her, and he basically wants to attack anybody that keeps him from her. He goes to the movie theater and watches the 1950s version of the Blob, and he pulls off this lady's wig who's sitting in front of him, and her hat's blocking him. So she takes off her hat, and then her hair is still blocking him, and it turns out to be a wig, and he pulls it off, and she's like, well, I never, and leaves. A big tall guy comes and sits in front of him, and he pours a milkshake on his head, and the guy turns around like he's going to fight him, and then sees this monkey about ready to attack him. And people must not like what I'm talking about because I lost a whole bunch of people. I don't know if it was because I was talking about Landis and supporting Landis, and or what it was. But anyways, um, hopefully, Batman, you're still here. Sometimes I know that the StreamYard is kind of funky, but there could be people in here, but it's telling me there's nobody in here. But I found Schlock to be a lot of fun. Yeah, it was kooky and goofy and all that stuff, and had, that schoolboy humor, which Landis was quite young when he made this. I think he was maybe 21 or so when he made this. So give the guy a bone. I couldn't have made a movie that good at that age. So um, I had a lot of fun with it, being as this was my first time watching it um, all the way through. Some people may not like it. Some people might not think it's, worth a hill of beans to watch. And, that's their prerogative. But I just found that it was fun and goofy, and not something that you had to expend a lot of brain power on. It's like a Sunday afternoon movie. And it's only an hour and 18 minutes as well. So um, I I would recommend it. In fact, I would highly recommend it. Um, I'm going to, and some people might be shocked by this. I'm not going to give it a 5, but I'm going to give it 4 deadites out of 5, just because of the sheer audacity of some of the things, and the fun aspect of it, and the fact that I didn't have to really think too hard. It was just a fun thing to watch this evening before I got on here and talked about these John Landis movies. So the next movie I want to talk about is the Kentucky Fried Movie, which I actually refreshed myself with. I only have a DVD of this. I don't know if there's a Blu-ray or anything uh, out of this film. And the tagline says this movie is totally out of control, which it most certainly is. But the thing that, hey, Chris, I am so sorry I didn't send you the link, by the way, for these because I waited too long and I was afraid that you wouldn't have time enough to either watch these films or refresh yourself on them. I mean, if you wanted to come on, I can send you the link. But if you just want to hang out in the chat, it's fine too. Um, you may at least want to come on here and talk about Animal House, maybe. Um, but the thing to remember about Kentucky Fried Movie is that essentially, and I'd forgotten about this because it'd been a few years since I watched it, and when I was refreshing myself on it today, it's you'll just hang in chat. Okay, well, I'll try to give you more of a heads up next week because I'm going to be talking about American Werewolf in London next week, Chris, and the Blues Brothers and Coming Soon. And Coming Soon's the only one um, that I haven't seen. So, anyway, back to Kentucky Fried Movie. It's just a series of skits. It's almost like you're watching a bunch of Saturday Night Live skits or something like that. But I found it fun. It's only about an hour and 23 minutes. They have skits for all kinds of things, and it's just so zany that I just sat there and I was just laughing. And there is quite a bit of nudity in it, especially near the beginning. Got people flipping each other off and stuff like that. So you might, if you have your kids nearby, you might want to consider whether you want them to see this or not. Some people may be fine with their kids seeing it, some people may not. But that's one of the reasons why I mention these things because sometimes people don't want to watch it in mixed company. They don't want to watch something like this with their whole entire family. This is something they want to watch, maybe one or two people watch it, right? I mean, I would consider watching it with Steve. I don't know if he would want to watch it, but I would consider watching it with him. But I don't know if I'd want to sit down and watch it with my parents, um, but that's basically the plot of Kentucky Fried Movie. It's a bunch of skits that they have put together. It is rated R. Like I said, it's not this one isn't designed for kids. Um, and it's directed by John Landis, but the screenplay was done by Jerry Zucker, James Abrams, and David Zucker. So I am concluding from that they must have came up with all the skits. And because I had so much fun with this one's not you don't really think of it as a movie, but just a collection of skits. I mean, it's called the Kentucky Fried Movie, but you know what I mean. But I had a lot of fun revisiting Kentucky Fried Movie, and so I'm also going to give it 4 Deadites out of 5 as well. So the final one, and guys and gals, I know this is quick, but like I always say, when I'm on here by myself, I don't like to keep people too long. I tell you about the movie, tell you what I think of the movie, give it a rating, and then I get off of here for the night. So the last one, like I said, is probably the most well known of the movies that I'm going to talk about tonight, and this is National Lampoon's Animal House. I mean, this is chock full of people that you will be familiar with. You've got John Belushi, Tim Matheson's in this. And a bunch of people, that if you are well versed in National Lampoon magazine, you will definitely be familiar with these people. But Animal House concerns a fraternity on a college campus who has got some of the wildest uh, party animals, and that's probably why this is referred to as Animal House, that this college has probably ever seen. And it's basically the party animals against the straight laced, um, butthead type of people that, that you wouldn't want to hang around with anyway. I would much rather hang around the Animal House dudes than the alternatives. So, um, not a complicated plot, but a very fun film. All the adventures and the mishaps and all of that happen along the way. This is supposed to take place in the 60s. This was, of course, released in 1978. So, it wasn't that much, older than when this came out. But I love, 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 love Animal House. This was a movie my dad introduced me to. Now, before anybody gets all upset, my dad introduced me to the television version of Animal House. I did not watch the full, unfettered, rated R version until I was much older. And I still love it today. I mean, I've seen it many, many times. Not going to bore you going into every detail of the plot. What I just told you is the basic storyline of it. If you've never seen Animal House, I encourage you to seek this one out. Don't go out and buy it. Don't spend your hard earned money just yet until you determine that, hey, this is something that I'm going to watch more than once. And watch more than once in a blue moon. If I'm going to watch it several times and get enjoyment out of it every time, then yeah, you could spend your money on it. But for an initial watch, I would try my best to find a for free version or borrow a copy from a friend or family member that has it. But to get to the rating, this one I'm going to give a 5 deadites out of 5 because I just feel like Animal House is a classic. It is a John Landis classic. This is golden. And if you don't laugh at this movie, you better check your sense of humor meter. That's all I'm saying. Check your sense of humor meter if you don't find something funny about this film. But I guess that's all from me for tonight. But I want to thank everybody, Batman and Chris, who are in here chatting for a little bit and hanging out with me. And for the people that just, hung back and listened to me talk about these movies, I appreciate you as well. And I'm going to get out of here for the night, do a few things, and try to finish up films for the pre-recorded version of Everybody Wants England that will premiere tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So, as Ducky said in Pretty in Pink, I'm off like a dirty shirt. And as always, I want to remind you to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. See you next time, folks.